Edwards will dribble into a three. No at the buzzer. And Chicago rallies from down 6 with just over 4 minutes left to play. They outscored the Timberwolves down the stretch 16-5. Chicago makes it 3 straight wins, 5 victories in their last 7 games. And the Wolves, for just the second time in the last 4 seasons, have a 4-game losing streak.
Stop!
It's a lot of crickets.
Joining us now is there's a lot of L's, 4 consecutive. Joining us now is Jonny Athletic, John Krasinski with The Athletic and theathletic.com. John, Paul Allen, Alec Lewis, mad producer here. That fourth quarter last night, Wolves go on a 13-0 run, then the Bulls hit us with like a 15-3 to win the game. What'd you think of the finish and some problems with it? And good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Did you guys have a little slumber party last night? You went to the game, right? So
yes, we were in an iHeart suite with our friends from Steve's Appliances and our boss here, Lonnie, off your right shoulder. But things became like, I always text you when I'm at the game and then we wave and stuff. But things started to get so hectic late. I didn't want to jump in your mix. But yeah, we were both there.
Very nice, very nice. Well, PA was pretty disappointing again. They seem to be in a real funk right now. My biggest issue from last night was not that, Ant had a really hard time shooting the basketball, and that's not something that we've seen a lot this year, but I thought the bigger issues were defensively. Both Edwards and Julius Randle had some just major defensive breakdowns down the stretch. Julius Randle losing Patrick Williams backdoor and giving up an easy bucket that way. Anthony Edwards not closing out to Kobe White on a wide open corner 3. And those are kind of just mental errors from your 2 biggest stars that you can't have in those situations down the stretch when you've already lost 3 in a row, when you're trying to grind out a win, when you're trying to get back in on the good side of things and get feeling right again. And to have your 2 main guys with those kinds of mental errors was just really disappointing. It just can't happen if you want to win games right now.
And the producer of Bumper to Bumper, Hustonamos Guard, our mutual friend, quote tweeted something with Finchie's press conference after the game. And Chris Finch on what went wrong with the defense and the loss to the Bulls, quote, our ability to contain drives right now is really hurting us, so on and so on. It was right in front of you, too, right out of the gate. All right, now it's cold, and, you still got three quarters and 3/4 of a quarter to go in the game. But Josh Giddey set up Jaden McDaniels and beat him off the dribble. I mean, he set him up nicely and just went right around him like he was tied to a post. I mean, so it was like from that moment on, for the rest of the game, they were having trouble with the dribble drive, weren't they?
Yeah, they really were. They haven't been locked in. They were really struggling with that against Utah as well. I mean, when you give up defensive penetration like that, and especially to a Bulls team that their whole offense is drive and kick, like get into the paint, kick out to the corner, shoot threes. Like they are a good 3-point shooting team. They have some quick guards, so it's not an easy thing we're asking them to do. But this is a team that is 500 that you have at home. That again, when you've lost 3 in a row, everything needs to be heightened. The urgency, the intensity, the attention to detail, all of those things. And it just didn't feel like that. This was the exact same script, PA, as the Utah loss, where, the Wolves come out, they're up 14 early, and then they just kind of relaxed. And I think like one of their biggest issues right now is they have this sort of arrogance about them, especially against these teams that are not high up in the standings, that once you get on top of someone like that they're just going to fold. And rather than put their foot on their throats and keep the pressure on, they do. They just come up, they take their foot off the gas, and they let the teams back into it. They get comfortable, and then they're in a meat grinder late. And that's just a really risky proposition in this league, because you always have guys that can make shots. And so if you're not on top of it, you're going to lose games like that. And that's just where they are right now. It just seems like they are not. And Julius Randle said it after the game. Naz Reid said it after the game. They're just not executing the game plans and doing the things that these coaches are telling them at a high enough level, and it's really hurting them.
John, thanks for hopping on. Good to catch up. Obviously, I do wonder, like, for you as you cover this team this season specifically, like, how hard has it been to feel like you have the pulse of what they are at any given point? Because it does feel like they have these sequences of games where you start to really believe in what they could be. And then you have the recent sequence of games that make you question probably what you started to believe. So just for you, how difficult has it been to try to feel like you have a finite pulse on what they are at any given point?
Yeah, it's been up and down for sure, Alec. I mean, I just remember a week ago I was in Milwaukee at that game where they don't have Rudy, they don't have Anthony Edwards, and they just stomp the Bucks. And they had improved, I think, 17-6 since Thanksgiving, and they were rolling. And you're thinking, okay, things are coming together now, and they're really figuring things out. Even in Houston, even in San Antonio, those really tough losses down the stretch, they still played well for the most part. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's going to happen every once in a while. This is still a good team. But then, then they have, the Utah loss. They have the Chicago loss last night. You've seen earlier in the year and some ugly losses like Brooklyn and Atlanta. There have been times that it just does kind of shake the clarity that I thought I had in this team. That said, I know that a lot of Wolves fans are down in the dumps right now and are kind of panicking, and I understand it. But one thing, like covering this league as long as I have, this is a really, really long season. Yeah. And teams go through these stretches. Almost every single one of them does. And I do think this is still a really good team. I do think it's a well-coached team. And I do think at the end of the day, they'll kind of emerge and figure things out and get into the playoffs. But games like last night, games like in Utah, do make you wonder about the overall ceiling of this group and how far they can really go.
Totally agree with you. Super well coached operation, but when you're mentioning these spells where whether earlier in the season, kind of the talker of, are they just kind of getting bored on a Wednesday night home game, that sort of thing, and then what we've seen in recent games, 4 in a row on the L side, how much can Finch affect this? Because I think about it like Finch has talked about, Anthony has talked about like that super close, deep relationship they have, which I absolutely love. And I love Finch. I love Ant. But you also can kind of see, okay, head coach takes refs deep, star player struggles with techs and technical fouls and on-court related negative banter with refs. Like, is there anything Finch can do just at a 10,000-foot view level that can stem this tide? Because in the end, this is a playoff team. This is a team that's been to 2 Western Conference Finals. We know all that. But is there anything that Finch can do culturally or vocally at some point that maybe shakes these guys out of it a bit and starts taking these 500 squads more seriously?
Yeah, I think I do think Finch has some accountability in this for sure. When you look at kind of the consistent whatever you want to call it, consistent character flaw of this team, that you take some of these lighter teams lightly and you get yourself in trouble and you lose some of these games. I think they're 17-5 or 17-6 against teams under 500 this year. So they're still really good, but the losses are really ugly. And I think for me, Nordo, when I look at Chris Finch, it is for me less about the culture part of it, because there have been several times this season where he has really lit into the guys after ugly losses or after big mistakes on film, and really, he's trying to hold them accountable, and largely, I think, has done a good job of that. What it feels like lately right now is that I think he's having a harder time with the rotations and finding the right combinations. I think, unfortunately, right now, he's leaning a little too much on Mike Conley, and Mike is really struggling with this role, at this age. And I think Finch wants him out there for his basketball and IQ and his ability to kind of organize things, but it's just not working out very well. In fairness to Chris Finch, he doesn't have a whole lot of options at that spot either. Bones Highland is struggling. Rob Dillingham isn't in the rotation, it feels like Finch has to try and recircle the wagons with his coaching staff and find some other buttons to push with lineup combinations that will click in a little bit better, because I think he's searching right now, and Utah in particular was not a good game from that way. Last night, I think it was more about his biggest stars and their issues, but Chris Finch has to kind of figure things out and push some different buttons right now.
Has the Bones Highland trick hit its expiration date?
I don't know if I'll say that, PA, but he certainly is a streaky player. And, in Milwaukee, he was amazing. I think he had 23 points. He was a plus 41. And he had been playing very, very well prior to that game. Even when he wasn't scoring big, you could see every game he was plus 8, plus 10, plus 12 in the plus minus side. And so he was affecting games at a high level. But a player like that over his history has shown that he's going to have these lulls as well. And he's in one right now. He can't hit a shot to save his life. And that's why I do think, PA, that it's going to be incumbent upon Tim Connolly to go out and make a trade for a player, a bench scoring type player that gives you insurance for when Bones is not kind of at his best. Right now, in these last few games, the only bench scoring the Wolves are getting is from Naz Reid. If they don't get 23, 25 from him, they're in trouble. And so they need someone else who can come off the bench, give you 10 or 12 points, and really kind of stem the tide when some of the starters are resting. I think that's the biggest need on this team right now.
Maybe Kobe White shot 6 of 16 and missed 2 free throws because he was nervous playing against what could be his next team. What do you think of that, Johnny K?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was really trying to put on a good impression for the new fans. And yeah, I think he did get over his skis a little bit and was a little nervous. He wanted it so bad, but he did hit that big corner 3, PA. And that's exactly what this team needs, is someone who is a real threat from the perimeter, but also Kobe can put the ball on the floor, can get to the basket, can do a lot of good things that way. The Bulls have a couple of guys that I wouldn't mind on this team. Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, even Trey Jones. Those guys, anyone who can handle it, who can get to the rim a little bit and just give them some consistency would be a really welcome addition at this point.
Speaking of the Bulls and the perimeter, Jonny Athletic, John Krasinski, The Athletic, theathletic.com. Can we officially dub Isaac Okoro Lou Dort 1A? And in that he absolutely, was up in Anthony Edwards' mix last night with that defense. And this side of Lou Dort, not many people do that to Anthony.
You're right. Yeah, it was a really good performance from Okoro last night. I mean, he is one of those guys who, if you're going to have success against Ant, you have to be big and physical and not let Ant bully you. And I think that's what Okoro did. I mean, he did a really good job of kind of moving Anthony off his spots. Like, Ant didn't get to the rim very easily. There's been a lot of times this season when it hasn't been going particularly well, and Ant will back the guy down into the post and just manhandle him that way. That wasn't really available to him as well. Okoro did a good job of taking that away. And so I thought it was really impressive what he did defensively. And then, as the game went along, it also seemed like the offense really did kind of lose a lot of its rhythm. Ant said it after the game that he had foul trouble early, and that kind of took him out of his normal rotations and kind of just made him feel a little bit off. But I think Okoro deserves some credit for that as well, in terms of just not letting him feel comfortable in the game at any point. It's been very, very few times this season where Ant's been 1 for 8 from 3. Like, it just was not clicking for him last night. And the foul trouble and Isaac Okoro, I think both had something to do with that.
John, me being the beacon of positivity, I want to ask you about Baron J. I didn't watch him closely last night, but I personally, at least, did not expect the 19-year-old to be as in the mix as he's been. What have you thought of the job that he's done and just what he's been able to do at such a young age. Obviously establishing enough trust that he is playing in the rotation with this team right now.
Yeah, Alec, it's been super impressive how quickly he is coming along. When you watch him in practice, even when he gets some run, he only had 3 minutes last night, but he's gotten extended run a few other times this season. He just plays with a bounce in his step that I think that this team needs right now. They're in the dog days of the season, and they're kind of low energy. But Beringer is super high energy. He has great instincts in terms of shot blocking, in terms of when to protect the rim and when to kind of stay on his feet and not elevate. He has also just a smoothness about his offensive game that is really unique for a player his size and his age. I mean, he moves very fluidly. He catches the ball in traffic. He can elevate and throw down lob passes at the rim. He's a weapon already, and I can tell you that when you talk to coaches and executives in the organization and just ask them about Yohan, their eyes light up in a way that is uncommon for players of his age, and especially for players picked 19th overall. There is an enthusiasm about what he can become that is kind of off the charts. This is not hyperbole. They think he can be a force in this league, as he kind of grows into his body, as he figures things out. They just love him to death. And so the challenge is trying to find some minutes for him on a team with Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, and Naz Reid, but he is wedging his way into the rotation in a way that very few rookies do for Chris Finch. And so that's really promising.
Hey, Johnny, you mentioned it is incumbent upon Mr. Connolly that we add something into the mix, and I guess it's incumbent upon him. How likely is it that we do indeed see a transaction between now and, I believe, early February when the trade deadline hits?
Johnny?
Hey, Johnny?
Johnny.
Mr. Krasinski.
He got a call on the trade deadline, had to go.
That's the problem.
He might have.
Bill Duffy's on the phone.
Hang on, give me a couple seconds.
Yeah, we might be good, or maybe we should call him back and get some of these amazingly pertinent questions out of the way, like, wonder whether we're so off at times last night. DiVincenzo with an air ball and a three. Jalen Clark had a corner three and hit the side of the backboard. Beringer played 3 minutes last night.
Yeah, he didn't play a lot.
Right.
But John said it right there, and I do think it's notable. Finch with young players. It hasn't been much of a theme. So to see Beringer, that's why I want to ask John Nordo. What were you asking?
Hi, Johnny.
How you doing, Johnny?
Hey, guys.
Okay. Hey, welcome back, first of all. We thought the reason that the call dropped is because I asked you the likelihood, as difficult as it can be to make a transaction, to make everything fit. We got salary matching, all those things involved. A couple of weeks to go for Mr. Connolly. He said it's incumbent upon him. How likely are we to see a transaction between now and the deadline for the Howl?
Yeah, I do think if I'm handicapping it right now, Nordo, that I think it's much more likely that a deal happens than doesn't. They have been looking at all sorts of different options. Of course, a lot of fans are asking about Ja Morant or LaMelo Ball or things like that. I don't see a major move like that happening just because of the money, for the fit, like all sorts of different things that you have to consider. But I do think that Tim Connolly is one of the most aggressive GMs in the league. He has been since he arrived here in Minnesota, and they have been combing the league, looking for options to kind of give them a little bit more depth. And so I do think that sometime in the next 2 weeks before the February 5th deadline, they will pull the trigger on some type of a deal to give them another body. Because right now they're playing 6.5 guys that they can really rely on. And I think getting another veteran in here to add to that would be really, really helpful.
Well, the low-hanging fruit names, the big names like you mentioned, LaMelo Ball and Ja Morant, personally speaking, I wouldn't be interested in either one. Would you?
Wow.
No, I agree with you. I just think that the fit with Morant and Ant, I don't think is great. And you wonder about Ja's kind of physical capabilities at this point and things like that. LaMelo, really big numbers all the time, but you just wonder how seriously he takes the game.
Right.
And so I would think that I don't think they need an overhaul like that. I really like their starting five, PA. I think that group plays well together. I just think that they need a little more firepower off the bench. And then when you have that, I really think, as frustrating as these last few games have been, I think that they could get into a series against most anyone in the West and really challenge them. So they just need a little tweaking, it feels like, and not an overhaul. And I think that's probably the very most likely scenario that happens here over the next couple of weeks. LaMelo
Ball is one of the hardest players on a nightly basis to watch. He's just difficult to watch the way he plays. And if it's a back-to-back, because either it's a wrist or it's an ankle or it's a hip or it's a knee, they don't start him one night, play him 20 and change, start him the next night, play him high 20s. And from the laissez-faire standpoint, I would completely agree with you.
Well, it's John now too.
What do you think of this name to close? Because Jalen Green just came back with the Phoenix Suns. You think they'd have any interest in that little guy, the point guard Colin Gillespie?
Someone like that wouldn't be a bad addition. I don't think. You throw in like a TJ McConnell in Indiana like that as well.
I love him.
Some kind of an organizer would be helpful. I would take a look at those guys. I think, PA, though, that one thing that you think about with that situation, yes, they would be helpful during a game for sure. But at the end of a game, the ball's in Anthony Edwards' hands, and he's the point guard late. And so would he help you, late in games? I'm not sure about that, but just having another body that could get you to those final 5 or 6 minutes in hopefully better shape. I think Colin Gillespie has been great. I don't know that Phoenix will let him go, but that's certainly a name that would pique my interest if he were to become available, yes.
Enjoy your weekend, my brother. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, John.
And here comes Steph Curry this weekend, so have fun, all right?
All right, can't wait. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
See you, bud. That's John Krasinski, The Athletic and TheAthletic.com.
Best in the game.
Talking about last night's Wolves, L. And the one against Utah, L. And it's 4 consecutive.
Kaprizov, though.
Correct. They have Golden State Saturday and Monday.
No Jimmy, though.
No Jimmy Butler. He's out for the year. Alec Lewis's appearance, 9 to noon, is courtesy of Steve's Appliances and stevesappliances.com. Brian, Sarah, everybody else, Jordan, thank you very much. Great spending time with you at the Timberwolves game last night. Greatly appreciated by yours truly, the station, and Alec Lewis. Here comes Norda with the cash thing.
Yeah, the fan wants to give you a chance to put some bonus bucks in your pocket with the National Cash Contest. This hour's keyword is money. You might win some money if you enter the keyword money in now at KFAN.com. That's keyword money at KFAN.com. One night, one icon, the legend himself, Bob Dylan, returns to Minnesota at Mayo Civic Center on March 24th. Don't miss out on a night of timeless hits. You can get the full details today. You just go to KFAN.com, hit that keyword calendar.
You got tickets?
You going to see Bob Dylan?
No.
I'm not either.
No, but I'm saying, can I get tickets?
I'm sure you can.
Yeah, we could find our way
But
to
you need
something.
to name more than 3 songs to even have us ask somebody
No
for
chance.
you.
No.
And you have to do your best Bob Dylan impression right now on the air.
No, Stapleton tickets would be the one that I would go after if I was speaking to, what do you call the main guy in the back?
Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum.
Yeah, if I was to approach him about tickets, it would be the Chris Stapleton concert
When is that?
this summer.
Oh.
At what's it called? Shakopee,
The amphitheater.
the amphitheater.
At the amphitheater at the racetrack?
Yeah.
Well, how the hell did I not know that?
I don't know. You work here.
We have a schedule for the the amphitheater that's adjacent to where the barns are, where the horses live.
I don't know.
Chris Stapleton, Tennessee Whiskey and Shakopee. How nice is that going to be? Maybe Justin Timberlake will show up and share the stage with him.
Say something.
Like he did at the CMA, and that was the bomb.
Yeah.
And I didn't know much about Chris Stapleton until I saw that.
Hey, he's phenomenal.
Now I know a lot about him.
But Bob Dylan, though.
If you went thrill-seeking in St. Paul last night, well, you got paid off.
Snow all over the right side of his equipment. He'll stay out there as Hughes lugs it ahead. Navigates over the blue line. All by himself. Will take it back out the center. Roll it to Kaprizov, who reattacks. Right through the slot. Kaprizov, a shot. He scores!
Hey!
It was just elite.
Kaprizov wins it in overtime!
That Joe O'Donnell, excellent call.
He's good.
Yeah, he's quality. I love his opponent goal call too, and the way he does it. You know, he's thought it out. You can tell, and that's cool. But the play. I mean, a hockey play. Of course, they have plays, but I mean, a lot of them for non-hockey people are hard to identify. You know, unless you're setting up the neutral zone trap and you get your forecheck going here, and their L's are on the other side of the ice. So get the puck over there, stuff like that. But when Quinn Hughes went skating into the neutral zone, and then he came back past the blue line because he was waiting for 97 to circumnavigate and gain speed, and then he gave it to him, and he sniped and won the game, that was fantastic.
Did you see? So Michael Russo of The Athletic, after the game, put on Twitter, Quinn Hughes' 4th 3-assist game of the season, tying a team record. So he's already tied the team record. He's been here for like a month and a half.
That's Minnesota.
I mean, that play, I'm like, where's he going? Why would you cross that blue line and then go
come back?
Yeah, it was great. I didn't understand that.
I didn't either. I thought they went for a change, and then you see Kaprizov circle and then come in just like a it's like a freight train.
And then he just snaps it right to the top right corner. Any chance I probably shouldn't say this on the air, but I was asking buddies, do you got a FanDuel account? I mean, I'm trying to hop in to watch this team as much as I can. I really...
What, a FanDuel account to bet or watch both?
No, a FanDuel, TV, North Sports North, whatever it is.
Nordo has some kind of VPN if you ever need help with that.
Well, no issues.
Well, what I would say is it's been awesome to watch. And what I didn't realize is how much watching hockey gets elevated when you have on the top right who's on the ice and how long they've been on the ice. When they put that little column or row,
the minutes bit,
it is game changing because the part of it is
it's fantastic.
Part of it is I'm like, man, that guy must be tired, but also I'm just waiting for when it says Hughes, Kaprizov, Boldy, Eriksson, Johansson.
Zuki.
So no offense to Hunt. Yeah. I mean, I think he's had a great career arc, I'm sure.
Yeah, but
I just can't wait to see when the premium guys, Tarasenko, are on that line, and that has altered the course of observing hockey for me personally. So that's what I would say.
Heinze joined yesterday, the day that you weren't here, and we talked about Tarasenko early in the equation. And it turns out, per media reports, that he pulled Tarasenko to the side a little bit and just talked to him a little bit about, he said something, and you've heard a majority, or either done or heard a majority of the Heinze interviews 9 to noon. And I don't think we've ever heard him say anybody has a lethal shot.
Right.
And he used that descriptor for Tarasenko. 4 goals in 2 games up to last night. And
yep.
Turns out they had a little conversation, and now Big Bad Vladdy is moving his feet in requisite fashion. And with Tarasenko, I mean, you keep Tarasenko where he is now. You get these guys back. Salmon Short, St. Paul, Vox in the Box, May and June.
Yeah, I'm with you. And we've seen this now. We've just done the one Vox in the Box this year, but we did a bunch last year, and we've gotten to know Heinz during his tenure here post Dino. He's not afraid to pull someone aside and have those on-ice conversations, whether it's us in the perch or anybody else on the ice at that time.
Including Hartsey. I think that was last year. He got into Hartsey a little bit, and then Ryan was on fire.
He got into Hartsey. I think there was a John Merrill conversation at some point that didn't look particularly comfortable. We saw Vinny Hinostroza having a conversation with the head coach before he was ultimately, I believe, a healthy scratch in that game against Winnipeg that went the wrong way. I don't know what you don't get into Tarasenko. Like, that doesn't strike me as like digging in deep to Vladdy. It's, you're pretty damn. Have you thought about this?
We need you.
Long, highly touted, highly tenured career. But maybe have you considered this? It's super. Everyone gets handled a little bit differently in the construct of a team, but getting that consistency, because secondary scoring, and we should all appreciate number 97. There's been a little bit of, he's not playing really like a superstar right now. What's going on with Kirill? Is it just the line he's on? Is Urov not holding his end of the bargain? All those things, and he comes up big last night. Love it, especially without Boldy, Alex's favorite player. But on a night-by-night basis, if you're getting more of the Tarasenko inclusion, let's get Johansson back on that run he was doing earlier this year. Hartman is certainly an ongoing, almost in perpetuity conversation when it comes to secondary scoring with this team. Whatever Heinze did to light that fire, just, hey, Vladdy, love you. Could use you. Lethal shot, though. It's certainly helping.
Tarasenko, I went to Mizzou for college, and this was when the Blues were at the pinnacle. And Tarasenko, used to walk around campus at Mizzou in Columbia, and you'd see multiple handfuls of Tarasenko. Like, people loved him.
Yeah. Have you ever owned a hockey sweater?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It's just not something that it wouldn't look good on me. It doesn't look right on me. There's just no question. But
how can a hockey sweater look bad on anybody? It covers every blemish.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't. It wouldn't feel like the right fit. As much as I've enjoyed watching this team, and I and it's not like a joke. I really actually enjoy watching the Wild right now.
Yeah.
But Tarasenko, it's crazy because, like, for really my entire college career, he was like the guy observing it. So,
do you remember other names on that team?
Yeah, David Backus, Petrangelo.
Backus, that's right.
Petrangelo.
Jaden Schwartz was really good there.
Schwartz. They had a fighter guy, Ryan O'Reilly. That guy was, he was willing to mix it up.
Mix it up with
Ryan Reeves, maybe?
Ryan Reeves.
Yeah,
it was Reeves.
It.
Thank you.
That's it.
Yeah.
They were good, man.
We
used to go, like, I stayed in Mizzou the summer after my freshman year, and they played the Blackhawks, and you had a lot
grades
of,
were bad?
You had a lot, terrible.
Got back on school. Got behind on credits.
I knew I wanted to be a sports writer. I wasn't there to play school. I'm like Cardell Jones.
Yeah, you sold it to your father, John. Like, the credits are 54. The classes are 5,400, Dad, in the fall. They're only 2,700 in the summer.
The real secret was, if you stayed the summer after your freshman year and you're from out of state, you got in-state tuition for the rest of your college career. So John, my father John, was quite appreciative of what I did for his pockets by staying that freshman year.
Hell yeah. I spent about 15 to 30 hours of my life going back and forth with CU Denver about in-state tuition. And it went to I got an appeal out of it. It went to the appeal level. Then I took the L.
Supreme Court.
And I'm like, ma'am, I know you can't comment on this, but I'm like, if you really think a 19-year-old is requisite of making that type of income and paying for this school, I don't even know what to say about that. Well, Mr. Allen, we're sorry, but those are the rules. So, yeah, we took an L on that.
It's one of the sneaky, Mizzou.
It's massive.
It's one of the you'll get people from Minnesota going there because they can stay over the summer. So, yeah, no one really listened to this, probably is locked into admissions at the University of Missouri. But all I'm saying is Tarasenko has been
there are a lot of parents listening right now who are stuck multiple thousands with stuff like this.
They're taking note of that.
Thank you.
I think my dad said I could have gone in-state to Alabama, would have been more expensive than going to Mizzou with what we paid. And I got
school.
I got a phenomenal education. It's
better journalism school.
Not a better journalism, but everything else was.
Could you not get into Northwestern?
I could not get into Northwestern. I was not I didn't.
Well, they didn't take you?
No, I didn't apply. I didn't even shoot my shot. Syracuse was like.
Syracuse is broadcasting, but is it journalism too?
They've got great writers, great writers.
Yeah, like Tirico. So many.
Yeah,
High and Eagle, Noah Eagle. They're all Syracuse raised.
Yeah, no question. But Mizzou was great. So yeah, if parents out there, I would look at it. it'll help your pockets for sure.
And you loved Vladdy.
But Tarasenko, that was the point.
Big bad Vladdy.
He's been in my life for a long time.
Think he hasn't?
This is not a new, this is not, it's just not. St. Louis is a big hockey town. I believe the Panthers come in tomorrow night. Kachuk, I believe, is from St. Louis.
You're looking at the Blues schedule these days.
No.
You're really.
The Wild schedule,
the
yeah.
Wild, yes. Hockey Day, Minnesota. You're familiar, right?
I've heard of that.
Yeah, I think it's the 20th year, and it's a wonderful concept. And but I think there are games canceled tonight. Like the Iowa Wild was playing the Milwaukee AHL team in Hastings tonight. And I should, people check on this, please, because I heard it elsewhere. But I think because of the cold, there were some problems.
Well, I want to go to the state hockey tournament.
But tomorrow, it starts at who Jamie Hirsch is. Jamie Hirsch, she does play-by-play. She comes in from Las Vegas, works with the Golden Knights. She'll be part of it. Our guy Parker Fox is part of it. Alex Stalock is part of it. Of course, KG and all the regular constituents. But Hockey Day Minnesota is fun.
Okay. No, but the state tournament's something I want to do.
You started to say something earlier and we clipped on the Kaprizov game winner. The Red Wings blue liner. What was the mistake he made again?
I don't know anything about the scheme. I don't know anything about hockey scheme. I will say this.
Yeah.
The processing speed that these guys have to play that game is crazy to me. The amount of split seconds decisions, whether you're a goaltender and you got to decipher the puck, whether you are making quick passes. I would love to put, this is really in the weeds and my passion, but what is the processing speed of a Quinn Hughes? Yeah. And how does that compare to the processing speed of a safety on the NFL field? And do they compare? Do they contrast? I don't know.
I just wanted a quick heads up. The Iowa Wild game has not been canceled.
Has not. Thank you very much.
And let me see, it's just Hockey Day MN on X.
Thank you.
They posted something as a day or two ago that all festivities are on as scheduled this weekend. So
my bad.
So as of now, it's going to be cold as bleep. I think Parker and our guy Halvey are calling one of the games potentially.
That's great.
Now we're really shooting from the hip. I believe that's happening.
Yeah.
So is Parker going to hold up his cell phone on speaker and have Taylor Heisey offer analysis into the microphone?
Well, that's the thing. So typically there might be a 6 or a 7 second delay on radio because of potential vulgarities. We got a dump button, etc. Theater of the mind behind the scenes. There's going to be a 75-second delay for this broadcast,
right? Because
Parker will be FaceTiming Taylor, and allowing that buffer to give him the proper retorts.
Yeah,
we got F5 here, half wall there, cheating in, backing off, all those sorts of things. That's going to be part of the broadcast.
But
certainly.
What if when Parker Fox does that with the FaceTime and the speaker audio into the microphone, what if Halvey falls asleep? I mean, you got to make sure the play-by-play guy does not fall asleep because they're pulling a bit off or whatever.
We make no guarantees with Rip Van Halvey. So
this is the Friday Football Feast, and as Vikings free agency goes, you go to The Athletic, theathletic.com, and Alec, his most recent story was about some pertinent Minnesota Vikings free agents, and he offers opinions as to whether they will stay or they will go now. We'll start getting into that around the corner on K. Alec_Lewis via X. He's the co-host of the Friday Football Feast, courtesy of Steve's Appliances and stevesappliances.com. And at The Athletic, or can I say athletic.com or do I have to say nytimes.com?
You say athletic.com.
Athletic.com.
Yeah.
Alec posted a story earlier this week. He doesn't write the headlines, but the headline, Vikings free agency predictions. Who stays, who goes, where will they need help?
Ooh.
I think I did write that headline.
Did you? Oh, you write the headlines too?
Some of them.
Damn.
Sometimes.
I mean,
only when it's not a bad headline.
But that's the first time that I think I've ever heard of any entity having, well, you don't have to deal with space. You know what I'm saying? So they're, like a writer writing the headline.
There's a recommended amount of characters, though.
Oh, I see. Oh, well, then, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds here and like journalism or the AP style book. But if you wrote that headline, did you notice there's a widow? Helps the widow. It's hanging there underneath the first two lines. You can't have widows like that.
I don't know. They let it ride.
That.
They let it ride.
They don't teach stuff like that at Missouri because they do at Northwestern about avoiding non-essential clauses.
Let's get to the predictions
and widows in headlines. So let's start here from a Viking salary cap standpoint.
It's not as bad as everyone thinks.
Okay, I can't speak for everyone. You're more than welcome to tell us all what the reality is. However, what is it, and what do you mean it's not as bad as people think?
Yeah, so pretty much if you were to look at the places that lay out the salary cap situation,
like Spotrac
over the cap, you're going to see that the Vikings for 2026 are projected to be 40 million over, 45 million over, 50 million over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some of that doesn't include the rollover money that they have from 2025. Some of that doesn't include the potential salary cap increase that has happened year over year in the National Football League because of TV deals, et cetera. And then beyond that, there are ways this team has to create salary cap space, whether it's roster cuts of veterans like Javon Hargrave and Ryan Kelly, or restructures where you're taking cash money and converting it into, or you're converting salary cap into signing bonus money, which alleviates your cap. And the Vikings can do that with a lot of players, whether you're talking Justin Jefferson, Christian Darrisaw, Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel. And then there's also extensions which move money back for potentially a player like Brian O'Neill. So there are a lot of ways that this team can create cap space. Are they going to have anywhere close to the amount that they had last year or the year before? Probably not. But are they going to have enough to be viable with some free agents? I believe they are.
Okay. So would you be able to venture a guess? Like within 8 to 10,000 either way, where they will be when they start the festivities?
8 to 10 million.
8 to 10 million.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, I'd say I would imagine they end up being around 20 million under the cap.
Over. Under
the cap by the time free agency begins. Now, some of the money is going to have to be allocated to draft picks and what you're paying there. But I'd say 25 million, probably potentially up to 30 million, somewhere around there where you're going to be viable enough to compete for whether it's a veteran safety, whether it's, there are other positions you could probably look at, whether it's swing tackle. There's cornerback depth.
Veteran safety, you say?
Veteran safety.
Have you looked at them?
Yeah, there's some free agents.
Can't bind them.
No. He signed a 4-year deal. With Indy. It's going to be guys like Alohi Gilman from Baltimore, guys like Cam Curl from the Los Angeles Rams, local guy Ty Okada who's been with the Seahawks. There's some names there, and
I think O'Connell really likes something about Alohi Gilman.
I don't know that. Alohi is a veteran guy who can play on the back end.
Yeah.
And so that's where, with this specific defense, in the event that Harrison Smith is not back, having a guy who can man the controls back there, who has a trust level with Brian Flores, for me is going to be pretty important. And the good thing is with free agency, there are a bunch of options there. So that's the spot that I would probably look at. But I expect them to have enough cap space to be in the market for certain spots and certain guys like that.
And it still feels that way now. You mentioned it in the event that Harrison Smith retires, some people kind of revive and just like, okay, well, we got Flores back. So that means gun for hire number 2 should be back too, right?
I'm never going to rule it out with Harrison because how much I know he loves playing the game. He has said, to publicly, he said to me privately before, like there is nothing in life for him that will be able to replace the emotions of what it's like playing on Sunday. And so it's just, I'm never going to rule it out until I know for sure with Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, for him to come back, you would need to establish to him that you have a team that can win the Super Bowl. And body-wise, he would have to feel right to do it. But if he's not back, you're losing a real beacon and hub of communication on the back end. Replacing that would be critical.
Nordo, can I marathon this?
Yeah, let's go around to the 12. Let's do it.
Let's swing it to the 12. It's what we do. Alec and I spent the evening last night at the Wolves game with Jordan and Brian from Steve's Appliances and stevesappliances.com. And Brian, one of the owners, informed us, if you go to stevesappliances.com and you hit shop deals, for those of you who need a dishwasher, all right, there is a Whirlpool fingerprint resistant stainless steel built-in dishwasher where the deal shopping right now takes $300 off of it. Alec got him to guarantee they'll take $450 off.
Oh my gosh.
So go to Steve's Appliances in Mounds View.
Oh my goodness.
Say, I was listening to 9 to noon on KFAN, and I want that stainless steel built-in dishwasher made by Whirlpool. It's $649 right now. You can save $300, but because of the Alec Lewis special,
I always love that one.
They might add another $150. That's good work by you.
Look, fingerprint resistant. If you can get something like that and have the amount of savings that you can find, it's critical. So, Steve, no, it was fun hanging out with them. They're
dynamite.
They were peppering with Vikings questions.
Have you ever been asked more about Jimmy Garoppolo in your life?
There were a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo questions.
Yeah.
I don't.
Nice cheekbones.
I mean, yeah, he was a starter in the league. He's been a backup in the McVay
Very
system.
smart guy.
Smart guy.
Mm-hmm. All right. So the story at The Athletic with the free agency stuff, and this when Alec or anybody else who covers teams does stuff like this in late January, well, there's an opportunity to change the predictions, and it's completely permissible. Why? Because the combine's a month away. And that's steam central for scribes when it comes to like agents and personnel people get a little loose and, kind of sharing what could be coming up for NFL teams. So I'm not saying any of your predictions here will change, but let's begin with Eric Wilson. Mm-hmm. And with Eric Wilson for the Minnesota Vikings last year, Alex starts by writing, "It's hard to overstate how impressive Wilson was this season. Only once in his career, he played more than 50% of the team's defensive snaps." I mean, that's a key number there. But it is also fair to wonder, was that the wedding and what's coming up is the funeral?
For Eric Wilson?
I just wanted to say that. The prediction is that he re-signs. He's had a series of one-year deals all of his career. I mean, his signing bonus when he came into the National Football League was $10,000. $10,000 signing bonus in like 2017. Eric's done very well for himself. What do you envision? I mean, do you envision if I'm Eric Wilson and or his representation of what I just did, I need a 2-year deal.
Well, I mean, Brian Flores loved having him here. He made that abundantly clear in press conferences. He made that abundantly clear to some of the announcers in production meetings. I mean, Brian Flores really trusted Eric Wilson to be able to do what he wants those off-ball linebackers to do, and that's blitz, that's playing coverage and space. And then Eric Wilson was just rock solid in the locker room. So, yeah, if I'm his representation, taking it probably to free agency, seeing what's going to be possible, and there are a lot of teams that will probably be in the market, but for a guy his age, a 2-year deal with some guarantees, maybe into the second year, but probably not a lot of them makes sense for me. I don't know what the number ultimately will be like, but for this team to make the playoffs in 2026 and be capable of winning a playoff game in 2026, you're going to need the defense to continue to be the rock of the team. and a key part of the defense is on that second level. So it's hard for me to think that Eric Wilson wouldn't be back unless the number just becomes astronomical.
Your prediction is he re-signs with the Vikings. What do you think the chances are you stick with that all the way up to free agency?
I think pretty solid, unless, again, the number, like, let's say there's a team like Tampa Bay or a team, other teams across the league that need second level help that really like what he can bring and are willing to pay him.
Or maybe Green Bay. I mean, Isaiah McDuffie's about to catch a stray here, but they had a decision to make from what I understand is, do we stick with McDuffie or do we roll with Wilson? So Kwesi rolls in and he's like, he's getting 1-3 here. We're going to double that. But you need to come now. And he came here. And Wilson had a markedly better season than Isaiah McDuffie.
Yeah, but nobody in the Vikings building believed that Eric Wilson was going to be able to do what he did defensively. What? Nobody. Really? It was not an expectation.
What?
And initially, Ivan Pace was playing the off-ball linebacker snaps.
Well, then how do you double somebody's pay?
Special teams. Eric Wilson was supposed to be a key contributor and a capable backup.
Yeah.
And he ultimately ascended to a full-time starter defensively and a key cog on the defense.
Good point.
But even Brian Flores and the defensive staff did not expect that to become what it became.
Well, I do believe you're shortchanging one person who was casting their gaze the way of the upcoming season and completely saw what was going to transpire.
Free agency never fails on the Kwesi train. Free agency never fails on the Kwesi train.
All right, Hitman's next prediction from Alec is he retires. Then you get to Jalen Nailor. For years, the Vikings have communicated their confidence in Nailor. He validated the belief in 2025. Not only did he play in all 17 games after a broken hand affected him in training camp, but also he dropped only one. Wow, he only dropped one pass. Nailor knows all of the positions, KOs, complex offensive system. And the prediction with Nailor is he departs via free agency. That's controversial.
I don't think it's that controversial. I mean, his rookie contract has run out. He's one of the very few late round picks that have been drafted since 2022 who have developed into a starter that can be trusted. And, you know, as long as Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison are here, it's hard to believe that he would be a 1 or 2 option, whereas if he signs elsewhere, he could potentially be that. And I know, having talked to a lot of people across the league, there is immense respect for Nailor and belief in what he could be if he was receiving more targets. And so I just expect there to be a lot of interest in him.
Well, let me just ask you this. Do you know, and this is impossible to... Do you believe that he will leave more because the Vikings couldn't afford him, or is it because he believes he wants those reps to be a number 2 or potentially a feature on another team?
I think it's a combination of both. To side with one or the other,
I would skew more to the latter that they can't afford him.
Yeah, I mean,
I was going to go more towards he wants the reps and the feature more so than the Vikings could not potentially make a deal with him.
Yeah,
because I don't think he's a $20 million a year guy.
No.
I just think in the end he wants to be out from under the shadows.
But he might be a 3-year, $39 million guy at 13 a year.
Well,
and so if you're going to have, to go back to the cap space conversation, like if you're going to have $25 million in space or $30 million in space to play with, to allocate $10 million of that on Jalen Nailor when you have other needs probably doesn't make sense. I am very willing and open to listen to the conversation of, do you pay Nailor and think about doing something with Addison? That for me does make sense. When people suggest that to me, I am very much willing to listen. But until the Vikings prove to me either publicly or privately that they would be willing to go down that road, I would just say free agency is my expectation.
Okay, I mean, with respect to Jalen Nailor, the Hillsborough County thing that got thrown out and the missing the walkthrough in London and just stuff like that. Okay, so all of the Addison stuff we all know about. With respect, Jalen Naylor is not in Jordan Addison's class as a wide receiver.
No, from a performance standpoint, no.
Right. So if your coach calls the plays and the identity of what they want to do goes through him, and you're still raising this quarterback, and you need to pull people off 18, then I don't see Jordan Addison leaving.
Sure, but you could counter that with, okay, but with what you're paying Justin Jefferson, does the receiver room maybe need to take a little bit of a step back to be able to use resources elsewhere? Whether you're talking, again, other positions, whether you're talking safety, whether you're talking running back, whether you're talking
center,
center, where you're
but
talking.
You don't have to pay Addison for 2 years.
No, you don't have to pay him for 2 years. You have to decide on a 5th-year option by May 1st.
Yeah.
I think that's still a pretty easy decision, despite the recent stuff, right?
I would say,
because even if you try to trade him, you would want to have that locked in, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and the 5th-year option's projected to be around $20 million. That would probably put you around like the 15th most expensive receiver. And Addison performing at his optimal level is in that class of a conversation probably. So, yeah, I don't know if it's like an easy button, you do it automatically, but as long as the next 4 months play out okay from an off the field situation standpoint, you'd probably have enough conviction to do that.
The 2026 wide receiver free agents that I'm looking at now on Spotrac. It's old.
It's not great.
And it's nondescript. You got Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, Deebo Samuel, Tutu Atwell, nobody cares. Thielen is retiring. And then you get like 7 down. And I said this earlier in the week or late last week, 9 to noon, and mentioned it to you yesterday. I want the Vikings to consider Juwan Jennings. And he brings a locker room presence. He's not going to break the bank, doesn't catch a ton of passes, but he does in the run game, the catch game, and the sneaky game. He does so many things so well. I'm a Juwan Jennings fan, and I don't think he costs that much.
Yeah, he's huge in the run game, and it's really more of a question of like identity from a more big picture view.
Oh, good point.
Do the Vikings want to? They've been the identity of this team has been to throw the ball vertically. Do you want to reshape that identity a little bit and be more of a balanced kind of, and they did run the ball more, so I'm not saying that they didn't, and they did run the ball more effectively, so I'm not saying that they didn't either, but just from an overarching identity standpoint, do you want to shift a little bit? And if you do, matching that with personnel additions like a Juwan Jennings would make sense to me. I'm with you, PA, in that I really like him. Until we get closer to free agency, I wouldn't have a good feel of whether he would be in play or not.
What is your... according to Spotrac, and it doesn't mean this is right. I don't even know exactly what it does with these projections, but market value for Naylor's $4.7 million.
It's just not even remotely close.
That's light.
No, it's
that's
not.
Way light.
Yeah, that's why, a lot of these projections.
Juwan Jennings is in a 2-year, $15 million deal.
The
I'm in on that.
Spotrac, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
A lot of people would be. Those projections,
okay.
You really got to be mindful of.
Yeah.
And I respect what they do because there's probably algorithms that might pay dividends with some of that stuff. But, the thing with Jalen Naylor, you read some of those free agent receivers. And it's kind of like Milton Williams. It's different, but it's kind of like Milton Williams last year. Mm-hmm. When you hit the open market and there are multiple bidders, just like anything in the world.
Yeah. Demand-based,
Demand will create more opportunity for the contract to be larger. And at Jalen Naylor's age and the potential that some of these teams will see as untapped potential, just from a production standpoint, will drive the price up. And I think the more likely contract would be like the 3 for $39 million. That would be something that would make more sense.
Well, and a great example in terms of market value, the algorithm, how it could be great, but it is imperfect. Nobody's giving Daniel Jones $40 million a season off the Achilles. So, and that puts his current market value 43.5.
Yeah.
So just the imperfection of it, position based. There's probably a stat related bid, snap counts, and all that included. It's an imperfect science.
It's like this too. Like the Chiefs have a free agent cornerback, Jalen Watson. I think he's really good. Like, I think he's a really good cornerback. He's also sub 30 years old, and the free agent cornerbacks are not exceptional. So he might get way closer to the top of the market than his value really is. That's just why you don't want to be buying in free agency every offseason. You want to be in a position of strength where you're being very selective in free agency and not needing to build your whole team through free agency, which this team has had to because of their lack of draft and development over the last 4 years. And until that improves, it's going to be really hard.
Any interest in Carolina Panthers receiver David Moore?
No.
Yeah, I mean, David Moore is somebody who does your taxes.
I always love
not
that.
catches big passes for you, high red or low red.
Does a great job.
What about George Pickens? I want nothing to do with George Pickens.
I think he's an electric player. And I would love watching him and observing how that would work.
Culture, though.
Yeah. We'll see on the contract with Dallas how that goes. He's represented by David Mulligetta, who represented Micah Parsons, and that whole thing spun sideways. So I'm just fascinated as an observer of the industry to see how the Jerry Jones conversations with George Pickens work out.
Well, we are fascinated that you know that. And that was quite brilliant that you knew who George Pickens' agent was.
I mean, you could go through most players in the NFL. I'd probably be able to tell you the agent.
Okay.
That's how it goes.
Okay. Olamide Zacchaeus.
I don't know.
Have a good day. We have a few segments left, 9 to noon. It's the free agency Friday football feast for this portion of it. Oh, yeah. New England is at Denver, and the Rams are at Seattle. We got to get into that before we leave. Nordo produces. Alec Lewis with The Athletic, courtesy of Steve's Appliances, is here, and I'm Paul Allen. We got some money to give you, I believe, here shortly, and we're going to do that right now.
Yeah, the fan wants to give you a chance at some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword bonus. You might get a bonus in the form of hard cash if you enter the keyword bonus at KFAN.com. Right.